Start recording. And I'll see you all in a couple hours. All right.
And you are zoomed in. There you go.
Okay. Good, good.
Excellent.
And I will make sure it's zoomed in. My light. All right, welcome to day 2. This is gonna be fun. At least I think so. I hope you do too. So we're going to be working from page 8. So we're gonna go a little bit further. Yesterday we did just a little bit of distortion with that circle. And so now what we're going to do is you are going to create your own alphabets based on whatever shape you would like to distort. So let's get started with that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pick something. I'm going to pick a shape. And I'm going to distort it, and I'm going to try to make the letters fit within that shape. Okay? So we see that here, you know, if we, this is my little, I always give this little exercise in all of my workshops because this is where these variations come from. You know, so I always say, you know, if we have a square and we bump out the sides of that square, how does that affect like the letter H?
Can you please pull your page down, Julie?
Here we go. Yep.
Thank
So
you.
how does this affect the letter H? You know, we could do something like this, okay? So that's what that little exercise that I showed right there means. If you bump out the triangle, you bump out one of the sides of the triangle, you do something funky like that, how does it affect the letter A? You can do something like that, okay? So basically what we're gonna do is we're going to distort a shape. So for example, I did this little example here based on fitting a letter inside a rectangle, okay? And you can choose whatever you want. You can do a flat rectangle like this. Maybe you can take your oval and do something like this to it. I mean your circle. Whatever you do with distorting of whatever shape you choose, whether it be a triangle, a circle, a square, and however you choose to distort it, let's see if we can create an alphabet within that distorted shape, okay? So I'm going to work with, I'll work with the rectangle, and I'm gonna do my tall rectangle. I'm gonna try to stay away from letters I've already done. I've already done this. You have that in your examples, so I'm going to try to do something a little bit different. So what happens if and remember, we're going to do inner curve, outer angle. This is what this alphabet's about.
Sheet down, Julie?
Sure.
Thank you.
So this alphabet is about the inner curve and the outer angle, okay? So we want to keep that in mind when we do our letters. So if I want to curve my letter, I could do an A like this and have it go up into that corner, and maybe it does something like this. Go a little higher there. And where do I want to do my crossbar? You know, do I want to keep it very, very low, very, very high? I think I'm going to do high because I tend to do things low, okay? So if you wanted to take your tracing paper, let's just say that's my first letter. So my A would look something like this. And let's not worry about putting on we're not going to put the inner curve, outer angle yet. We're just going to create the alphabet. So my rules are for this, working within this rectangular shape, I have this swooping curve instead of a diagonal that's straight. I have this vertical that's straight. Those of you who've taken my alphabet book class, I know Lynn's in here right now, she's taken it. So you know this exercise because this is how we developed our alphabets. And you're welcome to use an alphabet. If you've been in one of my other classes like Funky Letters and you have an alphabet you've already developed, go ahead and use that or try something new, okay? So those are my features. Also, I have this 1, 2, 3, 4, got about 5.5. So this is in the top, like, I don't know, the 5.5 portion. So there's 5, if I divided this up evenly, maybe let's do it in sixths. We'll say it's sixths, 3, 4, 5, 6. That way it's even. So I'll bump that crossbar up a little higher. So it's happening in the top 6th region is where I have my crossbar. So I have a curved vertical on the left, I have the straight vertical on the right, and I have my 1/6 region crossbar, okay? So there is, if you want to go, like say we go right from here into the, we could go to the end because that also has diagonals. I try to work within families when I do this. And now solving the problem of the end could just
pull your
be,
paper down a little bit.
sure, I think I'm going to zoom out just a bit here. That's better because otherwise I'm not at a good angle for where I write.
Thank you.
Okay, so what we could do is flip this A, and this could become the N from this side. And then we can go up with this. Okay, so now we have our A and our N. Could be something like that. Let's see, what other letter could we do after the A? We could do, well, if we have the N, what does the M do? Those wide letters are always a little bit harder to do when we have a narrow rectangle. So then we have to solve the problem of this narrow rectangle. So if we have the M, here's the N. Let's see. You know, we'd have to condense this shape a bit. And then if we want, do we want these two, you know, do we want these two humps to be the same? Or does one go up on an angle and then come straight down? That could be one way we solve that problem. Or we could do both humps the same. So you're working with whatever shape you're working with, you can solve your problems as we move along. Or you could do what I'm doing. You could do the same shape I'm doing if you want. If you're doing the same shape I'm doing and you have a better suggestion for something, go ahead and let me know. Now, here's where I'm not sure I want an equal, that I want both humps to be equal, because one of the features of this letter, if you look at it within the rectangle, is that it's kind of got this, things are happening off to the right. There's a juxtaposition here, and I feel like this is too equal. Whereas if we do something like this, we know this is not completely centered within the rectangle. It's pushing off to the right. Kind of like what we talked about yesterday with, you know, with that O that had that lift going up like this. And we said, well, when it has that T, what are we going to do with that lift? You know, so the same thing here. It's like we have this push off to the right with this alphabet, or to the left, depending on what we have to do. So I feel like doing something equidistant or the same doesn't work with this feature. I almost feel like it needs something like this to happen, maybe even more. And then the M does something like this. Or maybe we go the opposite way and do the M like this. Maybe we do the first one really condensed. That probably makes a lot more sense to have this going up on the swoop. Whoops, not that much. Let me see where my rectangle is. Yeah. So having it can go something like this within the rectangle makes a little bit more sense to me. So that we maintain that kind of, this is the narrow edge, this is the narrow side, this is the swooping wider side, if that makes sense.
Julie, would you also possibly do something where your two sides meet 1/6 up, like the crossbar of the A 1/6 down.
Well, and that's another thing. What if that happened with the N and the M? That's what would that look like? So that's a good question. So we could do, that means that everything happens up here. And then how do we get to this side of the
Oh, I
N?
meant 1/6 from the bottom.
Oh, 1/6 from the bottom?
Mhm.
Well, you can't do that with the N.
No, the M.
M, yeah, okay. So 1/6 from the bottom, meaning stop here,
Correct. So that second,
so that it doesn't go all the way down to the bottom.
right. So it could be larger. Yeah. So the shape
Yep.
could be larger.
So it could do that, which means we could do,
Yes. That's what I meant.
something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that can definitely happen with that. We could do 1/6, stopping 1/6 from the bottom on that. Okay. All right, so we have our M, we have our N. And again, I don't know if you want to do, well, this could stop like right here. This could go right into here and stop 1/6 from the bottom as well. No, I mean, it goes down, but we'll have it come to this point right here. Yeah, like that. Okay. What would, let's see, so we got our N, M, we've done A.
What would the O look like?
Yeah, let's try our O, N. We have got M. And what would our O look like?
By the way, beautiful lettering on your pencil.
Yeah, isn't that great?
It's
from
really.
Barry Zacky's place. It's wrapped with these Japanese papers. I think it's Japanese. Okay, so the O. All right, so we have this kind of a shape happening here. I want to keep this in mind here. Could the O just be something like this? The O would be this. Could. Yeah. I think that O would be kind of cool like that. All right, so we've done that. Let's do, what do we have left to do here? We have a lot left to do. The B. Now, because everything's happening this way, and we have the verticals on the N and the M. This is where you might find that something doesn't work right and you have to change your rules a little bit. Does it work if I turn this?
Julie, Heather's asking if you would vary the O depending on where it lives in relationship to the other letters.
Yes, I think I would. That's a great question. And sometimes you do solve these problems, and this is how font designers do this as well. Sometimes you solve problems by making words. And you fitting your words together, and then you go, oh, wait a minute, that rule doesn't work very well. So then you have to readjust your thinking. And you're going to see that when we move into words, that your alphabet will work a little bit better, or your letters, you'll solve the problems better when we go into some words. Like this, I'm not sure I would do like a B like this. I mean, you could. Just taking that shape and flipping it upside down, I guess you could, maybe. So in this case, we flipped up what's happening on the top, 1/6, we flipped it and did it upside down like this. I flipped that O. I guess that's one way. I don't know how we would handle it. Let's see. Yeah. So we've got this huge white space here that is a huge feature of this letter form. If you did a B like this,
and you could also reverse it 180.
Yeah. So, but okay, so you've got a B that could be done like this, I guess. Keep that vertical on the side and round off these corners here. I guess you could do. So
And
I guess
Julie,
we
can
have
you
to,
also flip your A 180 to so that the vertical is on the left? And so the little bowl's on top and the big bowl's on the bottom also?
yeah. Well, that's also, yeah, I guess that would be an option too. Let's see here. So we would do it this way.
Yes.
Yeah, and you'll know, and when you make hands, I mean, Zopf did this, Herman Zopf did that. He made variations in his letters, so he would give options, and that is certainly something that we could do here, depending on which way things have to go, depending on where the emphasis is in the words. The thing that is becoming clear to me now is I need a little bit. They're starting to soften a little bit. So here I've got very angular happening here, and then this is going to soften when I start adding the inner curve. I don't know, I don't see that happening here as much on the M and the N. So let's just keep moving just to see what happens with this and how it develops. So how would I do a D? And the D could be solved. We've got the bowl of the O. Here's the B. We've got that 1/6 thing happening. It could do, does the D do something like this then? Like this A over here? Or does it do this? So the D could come down like this. Okay, so that could be the D, or we could flip it and do it like we did the B.
And like Heather
This
asked,
B.
where it would appear in the word.
Right, right. Yeah. So this could definitely be another option. So this is upside down. Let me just tear these up so we can see them next to each other. So we have these two options for the D. Okay. All right. I think the C, again, could just do something like this. Keep that straight down there. And you have to make a decision on whether we want to add a little serif coming down, or do we do the C like this? So far, we haven't added any serifs, so I would say probably we don't pull that down, because I would consider this a serif coming down. And we haven't done that anywhere else, so maybe that we just leave this alone.
Can you pull that tissue a drop down so we see all those letters? Thank you.
Yeah. So far, and I'll put these all up that we can take a screenshot of it if you want. But you won't have to do that because I'm going to scan these, don't forget, and share them with you. But this is what we have so far, the N and the M. So that's what we have so far. I'm not sure that I'm liking what's happening with the N and the M. So let's think about coming back to that because they are so angular right now. We might want to think about changing that. These are starting to soften up a little bit. You see what's happening here? Almost becoming like pebbles or rocks, and especially right in here. So I'm thinking that treatment needs to happen with the N and the M. But it may, once we put in the inner curve, it might soften that up. So let's see what happens when we get back to that. All right.
Julie,
so
also on the M that's on your right, that the shape of the right bowl mimics the A, would you make that the same full size as the A and then add that tiny sweep up, sweep down since the M is a little bit wider?
Oh, we could. Anyway. We could. So it could be you seeing like this, do this,
Yes,
Except
exactly.
where would it's really tight.
But
It is
the M is a
really,
wider letter anyway.
yeah, it's really tight.
But the M's a wider letter. I'm saying go outside the rectangle.
Oh, go outside it a bit? Yeah, we could do that. True, right. Yeah, for sure. We could definitely do that. Just go outside a wee bit.
Yeah, a wee bit.
Just a wee bit. So that's a good point. So we totally could do this and then bring this down even
To the
further.
1/6, that shape of that, so the right
Yeah,
bowl.
right down here.
Yes.
Yeah. Like that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's good. So that could solve that problem. That's also getting a little bit closer to the shape that I want to keep consistent. All right. The C we've done, the D we've done. Let's just go and do the E and the F. I mean, the easy thing to do right now would be to treat this like a lowercase e, like I could come up like this and this could be the loop and then you can come like this. That would be the easy way. I think what I might do is just do this, this, and this, and don't come down with it. If I come down with that top part, then it makes it a lowercase e. If I leave it like this, I have my uppercase e. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave it like that for now. The F. Now the F could do this and just this, I guess. It's funny now because what's happening is our I has to close off this shape, which works fine with the E. It doesn't quite work as well with the F, but we'll see. The F seems kind of forlorn, doesn't it? Ha, F, forlorn.
Yes.
But it does. It just feels a little bit weak. So
And if you did it from the vertical, it would have none of that curve.
Right. I mean, the curve is kind of a main feature, so I think of this curve more as a main feature than I do this part here. Although that is a feature, I would say this is the primary feature. So that would be primary. I think this is secondary and this is third, tertiary. Yeah. That's
Julie?
kind of how I would order them. Yep.
Julie, someone's asking a question.
Sure.
If you added a serif to the C with that tiny tip of a down arrow, you could do the same with the F.
Right. But then if I add the serif to the C, I've introduced a new feature, which makes me think, do we need to put this anywhere else? Maybe not. I mean, it is a teeny tiny feature. So
There's also a question in the chat of what if you did the crossbar to the left?
On what?
On the F.
Yeah, but then that makes it a lowercase.
I'm thinking Akimish.
Well, the Akeem crossbar there is the crossbar on the F for Akeem is a straight across. The crossbar on the T is the one that goes off to the left.
Right, exactly. Using that one. Just, there's a suggestion in the chat.
For an F, that would be lowercase anyway, but this would be more of a T. I wouldn't see that as an F.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I don't read that as an F, but I think let's come back to that. I feel like that thing is just a little weak for that, but certainly we could solve a problem by putting this, but if with the F, that really doesn't solve it because it would do this. If we wanted that serif to be the same length, that doesn't make any sense. And then it also does the same on the E and it makes it look a lowercase. I'm trying to keep these as caps right now. So I'm not making the lowercase version, I'm just making caps. So let's see what happens. All right, so we've got the C, we've got E, we've got F. G, would just come from the C. And if I take this off, this eraser is terrible on this pencil. I gotta use a different one. You know, this is where I don't consider this portion of the G to be a serif. So I would just come up with it. I consider that as part of the letter. So that would solve that one. The H. Okay, so do we, for sure, I don't know if that reads right as an H. Because my I wants to close off this shape and create that A. H, H, H. Solving the problem of the H. Could we do it this way? No. No. Okay, what about if we, oh, okay, what about this? So on the B, we have two versions of the B. We have it happening on the bottom, the 1/6, and on the top 1/6. Could we reverse the H and do it the crossbar here? And I still can't bring, I still can't bring this stroke all the way up. So I could leave it just like that and this one like that, and then do the crossbar down below. I don't think that works very well. Okay. Not sure about it, but we'll come back to it if we have to. I don't, there's nothing to do with the I. The J, what I would do with the J is, I guess, Now, if I come up like this, I always consider that a serif coming up like that. But we can bring it up even a little bit more, and that could just be the curve of the upstroke, so that your I is kind of doing this with the shape and closing it off. So the J could totally be something like that.
I really like that, by the way.
Yeah, I think that would work. Okay. J. The K. All right, so yeah, do we want it to go this way with the vertical and then doing this? And then does it come over to here and then kick down like this? Could. The other way would be the flip, like on the B. It's B. Oh wait, no, I gotta go this way. Oh, so the other way could be that we did it this way. Say this is the kick stroke, and this could do that. Or would it do straight? I'm not sure. Kind of think this one fits a little bit better. This one here. Okay. The L. Do we want to do the L just like this? Like we did with our F and our E? Could just do that. H, I, J, K, L, M, N. We've done O, P. Now this is where, for some reason, like that feels very weak to me because we have this huge big bowl that's kind of happening here at the bottom, not bowl, but negative space. So I feel like maybe the P needs to be like we did with our B. We need to flip that. Instead of it all happening at the top 1/6, maybe it does this and happens at the bottom.
And there's also a question in the chat about on the K that happening on the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So that could be an alternate P. So, well, we did do it, have it. Oh, you mean have it be the big portion be on the top for the K?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes. That would be nice. Yes. I love that. Oh, I like that a lot. Which means we also can do that with the R. I like that a lot too. I think we have options. I like this option for the B, and so I think that translates really well for the K and for the R. Yes, I like that. So the R, what did I just trace? The B, right? Okay. So you could do something like this, or maybe not quite as much there. Or you could even round this a bit. Do that. That might go better with the features. A slight rounding, which is what I did here on the K. Yeah. That rounding like that.
I can't
Okay.
help but think what the word Karen would look like because there's options of bowls on the bottom and bowls on the top with the
Yeah,
K.
and that's where we'll solve the problem, whether this A works better. But if we were to do this K and this A together, look at what's happening here. We create this huge negative space between that K and that A.
Yeah, but
So
then when
that's
we
where
have the
we would
vertical,
go back to this option, the K and the A would fit really nice together there, okay?
yeah.
So those are things to think about, and that's why it's good to have these options. K, L, M, N, O, P. The Q, we will take from the O, and then just do, however you want to do it. We could do it, come out like that, if you want. We did R. Okay, the S. Get these out of the way. So the S. Now here is where we talked about coming down like this adds that feature of a serif, but we might have to put that in somewhere else as well. So the S could do something like this. Technically, I mean, I think of this as serifs when we come up like this and we come down. Not technically, they are really. But we might have to add that as a feature in order to accomplish that. Because otherwise the S is this, which maybe works too. I guess it could work that way. It would look like that. Or what happens when I do that B? Can I do something like this? I don't know about that, because that's changing this shape here. I don't know. That looks, I mean, that definitely looks like a 5. So this option is flipping
Can you
this
pull your sheet down?
yeah.
Thank you.
There, like that. Where the S, all the stuff is happening up at the top on this one. And this is kind of curving around like this, because this is the shape that would come down this way. So maybe, I'm not sure about that one. Kind of lean toward this or this one. Okay. The T, you know, and this is one of those things where, okay, we have to have that happening up there. And then do we want to make that T go slightly beyond, and then does it do this? Maybe this has to go slightly beyond there. Or we shorten this side up a little bit. If we extend this side, we can shorten this side up, maybe. I don't know. Do something like that for the T. Okay, the U could be the flip of this, right? Well, that's, wait a
Well,
minute.
if you did the V as the flip of that, and then the U
Yeah.
as the vertical on the
Then the
right,
U has to soften up. Let's turn this around here.
or the U could simply have that vertical on the right, like the V without the U with.
Yeah, so you're saying keep this as the V.
Right. Exactly.
One could do that, or even flip it like that if we had to.
Right.
And then the U,
Go up to, yeah. And then from 1/6 come down.
what do you mean from 1/6 come down?
Do the V. Do the V. And from 1/6 on the right, come down. Go all the way up. Go all the way up.
Oh, you mean like this?
Exactly.
Oh, adding that stem for the U,
Exactly.
like that.
But still going up to the corner, but just have the stem come from 1/6.
Got it. That could work. It's kind of an upside down N. Well,
Lowercase.
backwards, lowercase. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that could work.
The lowercase and playing Twister.
Yeah. So for sure, and then we also could flip that V. The V could be flipped this way, but that would be the low. That looks like a lowercase U. What would I do if I wanted it to be an uppercase U though? Would I use one of these shapes? I feel like we have to have more of an uppercase version. So, you know, would I be doing something like this?
Ah.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Maybe it just doesn't go all the way up. Or it doesn't go as far up as I put it. Okay, I'm not sure about that. So that either one of these, either this one or something like this, I'm not sure. Would it work the other way? No, probably the same problem. If I go this way.
Then it's like a D. The I makes a D.
Yeah, right. We don't want to do that. No, not for the U. So this is possible U, maybe. Okay. All right, we did U and V. And the W, how did we solve the problem of the M? This one, this one. So the W would do, we went slightly outside. Where did we do that one? Where did I do it? Not be here. So this must be what I did here. So what would the W do? It would do something like this.
And can you put your sheet down, please?
Oh, yeah. So we could come up to right here, which is the 1/6. Oh, right here. And then do this. Yeah, could do that. But that seems funky to me, like too funky, not good funky. I might flip and do this as the big stroke. So let's see what that looks like. If I do it this way, come up. No, wait a minute. I have to come up to here, here, and then go slightly outside, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm not sure I like that one any better. Whatever we do with that, I did say that the M and the not the N, but the M is troublesome to me. So is the W, because I think whatever we do with the M and we do to the W. So we can come back to that. W, S, T, U, V, W, X, X. Yeah, so this is where we are going to do.
It can cross way up, way down.
Yeah, we can cross way
Fun.
up or way down. But which one is this? And is one straight? No, it can't be. Does it have to happen over here? Does it do two curves? You know, do we do something like this? We can't really do, if we do a straight, whoops, it looks like this. So we could either do kind of like what we did with the, you know, here we did this with the B, we softened this bowl here. We also did that with the K and the R. We softened the kicks down here. We could soften the, this is where we're softening that diagonal on that part of the X as it comes down. So it would do this. And then if I cross just slightly above and make that turn right there at the 1/6, I could do that. That's weird though. I don't know. Maybe that's a little too weird. See here. I'm kind of looking at this shape here. Flip that. Something like that with the X. Yeah, I think that works. I think that might work. Maybe. I'm not sure. Either this one or this one. I don't know about this one. Because what we have to do is we have to get this nice, big, chunky shape here. And when we do this, it cuts off that shape. This gives us more of this type of shape here. That's what I'm looking for in this area. Okay. All right, so Y is, I mean, we could do this. This is kind of the obvious right there. Well, or we flip that. I'm doing it the backwards way here. Now I'm going to trace that. This also could be a Y right here. So we could do it like that. So either like this or like this. I gotta tear these up here. TRYs. Options. WY and then the Z. So I would say that the Z, just do this, this, and this. That would be my Z. Okay, so whatever you've done, whether you've done my alphabet or yours, I would like now for us to, well, let's go ahead and trace some of our letters and then add some of the inner curve and outer angles. But I want you to do this in a word because as you saw, some of these problems are going to get solved when we put them together in a word. And so what I really liked when I stuck that K and that A together, I'm going to write Karen's name or any other Karen in our group, because I think that that would be really fun to see what happens with that. And you can choose whatever word you want. But what we're going to do now is we're going to add exercise number 3. We're going to add an inside curve and an outer angle to all the letters you just created, okay? And you can leave them as outlines or you can fill them in right now if you want with color or graphite or black. But later too, these are some of the things that we're going to try on the good paper and we're going to fill in with color. But you're going to create now the inner curve and outer angle on your alphabet, okay? But let's write it in words. So on pages, here's page 10, you see where I did, here's some of my, just some letters I came up with, and then I started doing the inner curve, the outer angle. Here is a little bit more of what you see here. So basically what you see here in number 3 is what I did here. Also, you'll see that there were a couple things that as I was moving along, that I realized, uh-oh, wait, this is also a feature. So as I moved along, I realized this feature was an important part, and it didn't always get replicated correctly. So let's think about that as we move along through your alphabet. You're going to start to see other features might jump out at you, okay? So I'm going to write Karen with my alphabet that I just created. And let me find my K. Well, what I'm going to do is I've got 2 options I said for my K and my A. So if I do this A and this K, that creates too much space in between. There's another A. Here's another K. So I kind of like this K, whoops, with this A. That's what I like. So I'm going to just get that transferred onto my paper here. Oh, wrong side. What am I doing?
And maybe if you want to unzoom.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
I'm just going to do this. Oh, that didn't work very well. I was thinking, oh, how ingenious. I don't have to.
I was about to say fingernail.
It didn't work.
Interesting.
Silly me, silly me. That works when you do it the other way. Hold on, let me try that again. Okay.
Yeah, we don't see that at all.
No, not at all. I can't even see it. That's what I was hoping was going to happen. Transferred on there. Okay. And then the A. And then that R is going to fit really nice because it's a vertical.
As you put these in, a question. So are you thinking that because you're going to be adding outside angles that you need to add more spacing between your letters?
Oh, thank you. Who said that?
Actually, I did.
Thank you. I do need to add more space. This is outer curve. I mean, outer angle. I'm thinking my funky letters class, because we do this in there too. All right. Yeah. Make sure you spread your letters out a little bit more, because we are going to be playing with that outer edge. So thank you, Karen.
Sure.
Why we pay her the big bucks. Okay.
We just normally spend a lot of time together doing these kinds of things. So
Yes.
no doodling and creating letters. And
All right. So give me some space there. And then let's see what E works well here. Ooh, I like this. I like this alphabet. All right.
now, before you go on, I'm just curious. Apropos Heather's question about a smaller O, where it would fit, right?
A smaller O?
No, her question about that. So move that. Okay. For the sake of argument, if I'm imagining where the N is, then I can see a small e. Not lowercase per se, just small in size.
Well, yeah.
Like leaving a little bit more space between the R and the N. I'm just thinking with you out loud right now as you do this.
Well, let's just see what it looks like at this height, and then we can start to alternate things, because, you know, like these exercises I've done on page 11, which you guys are going to do some of these too. We're going to get into more free form writing. You can see where I did, you know, big, small. This is where we start to get into variations, okay? So yeah, I mean, for sure we can alternate sizes, we can bounce things. That's coming. That's coming.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so let's just do this right now the way it is, the size. And then we'll start to vary the heights and stuff, or the, we'll vary, yeah, we'll put some.
Right, it's true. I was jumping ahead, design a word versus do the letters. You are correct.
Yeah, right now I just want to do these inside curve, outside angle. All right, my pencil. Come on. I have to sharpen my pencil. Sorry, people. My mechanical pencil is out. All right, and now the N, which works very nicely to close off this space, I think, right here. So this is good. And then got to figure this out here. Okay. So there is my okay. So clearly now I've made decisions to, you know, like these two are happening up at the top. These two are happening at the bottom. I'm not going to switch. Like in this case, I think this makes sense to have these both happening up at the top and these at the bottom. But those are the kinds of things that later we can alternate. You know, maybe you flip that and don't do them that consistent right there. Okay. All right. So now inner curve and outer angle. So I've already got that kind of happening on the K and the R. So, you know, what would be the kinds of things I would do with this K? I'm going to do this in ink, just so this looks a little bit darker. Where's my marker? Hang on a second. All right, so I've already got a straight stroke here. I mean, you know, if I wanted to, I could get kind of weird and have an angle come out like this, but I don't think I want to do that right now. I think I want to keep this straight. This doesn't have any serifs, so that's something we have to think about how we want to handle this. This already has an inner curve, but I want to get my angle in there. So I'm going to come back to this stroke. I want to get my outer angle, and I want to do something like this, I think. and then maybe come down. And I don't want these to be real chunky letters. I'm going to keep that kind of subtle there. Now you can do whatever you want. I mean, Heather had Heather Martinez has this hand called Visigoth, and I emailed you, Heather. I don't know if you saw that, but I had never heard of that as a hand before, and not seen it before. And it's very similar to what we're doing here. So if you feel like you want to make these chunkier, like some of those letters I saw online were chunky, go ahead and do that. Make your letters even chunkier than mine. This is where, I'm wondering if I would add a little bit of the wasting that we talked about yesterday, this kind of thing, where I would keep maybe one side straight and add a little bit of wasting like that, just to beef this side up. That could be a possibility. I'm going to do my inner curve, and I'm going to do my outer angle. And how do I want to cut this off now? So I'm kind of going to go out like this, I think, and do this.
Wild Woman, while you're doing this, Heather wrote that it's not her hand. She's just been studying it, and that's why.
Oh, okay.
That's why she's taking this to learn your approach.
Very good. Okay. Yeah. So now I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure if I want to add weight to that or not yet. So let's wait and see what happens after we go through this. Okay. This just could be a very delicate kind of hand. If you want, you can use, I'm going to use a little ruler because I want to keep these straight and I want to beef them up too much. If I could find my little ruler. There it is. Okay. I just don't want that to get too beefy there. So I'm going to use this. Oops.
See, really, I should be in your studio, being the sous chef, handing you tools, like an operating room.
Yeah.
Karen, ruler, 6
Nurse, wipe my brow. That's what I would really.
COVID.
That's really what I would want you to do.
Now you've gone too far during COVID.
Please wipe my brow. Okay. Does anybody have any questions while we're doing this?
We are caught up in the chat, but we're a small group today. A lot of people are watching the video later, so you can unmute yourself and ask if you.
Yeah, please, let's do that because it's not a very large group.
Yeah, I didn't shut people out today.
Okay.
I didn't.
All right.
Keep two letters the same, like two E's together. You mentioned before about clipping them.
Yeah, so what we'll do is after we do this little exercise here and we add some to your alphabet, we're going to do some words and we're going to do some bouncing and rotating and other exercises where we're going to solve those problems, like when you have two E's together or whatever. But did you want to see two of my E's together? Is that what you're saying?
It was a question of how to approach double letters.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to that when we get into our other words. Okay, so here's where this is interesting. Like here I did the angle down here. Do I want to do the angle up here and keep it away from, like if I beef this area up here, I'm putting two thicks kind of right next to each other. So I might want to make that come this way up here and cut the angle off this way. So maybe I'll do that. And then come down like this. I want that a little bit straighter though. There we go. So that's where, and now I could also do it down here. I could have jutted out this way and gone up this way. You're cutting, what you're doing is you're cutting those curves. You've got to figure out how do you want to go on the angle around that curve. That's what you're trying to solve, the problem of the curve and how to go around that curve at a sharp angle. And where do you want those angles to occur? Now, here's another thing that we need to think about. Do we want to soften this up here, which I probably should do? And then this is where, yet like yesterday, do I want to go in and actually put curves in here and make those thicker? You know, here it could happen like this and like this. But again, remember what we said about what happened with that X and that K yesterday, how that makes that junction a little heavier? That's what you need to decide when you're coming into letters like this. Do you want to make those junctions heavier? And if so, then go ahead and put in this little curve, this little turn, okay? And then you would, in this case, we might want to do it to the other side. So those are the kinds of decisions you need to make on your alphabet. Okay. And then put this here. Beef that up just a bit. So what I'm doing here is basically is exactly what I did when I created this alphabet. But I did it with words, so I was making words. I wasn't actually trying to create an alphabet. I was actually working with words, which is the whistles, far, and we. That's what I was doing, just kind of working as I went along. And then the niente piece, that one had a lot more thought into it, and I designed that again.
That's on your
As I
page
went
12.
along.
Oh,
Yeah, I designed this as I went along. So you'll see this is where I made those decisions of trying to fit the letters together. So this one actually didn't start out, I didn't create the alphabet and then come and work on this piece. I created this piece in the class, went along and didn't know what I was doing, basically, just kind of made the letters fit together. And then I did the same here, but I had more thought to it about the inner curve and the outer angle. So, but that's when I solved some of the problems. And you see this, if this were an alphabet, it has a lot of variations. You know, here's one variation of an N. Here's another variation of an N. Here's another variation of an N, okay? So this is what I'm saying. You're going to create variations based on the way you put these letters together in words, all right?
and both of those are on your page 12.
And if you wanted, you could be using French curves and getting these really exact. But I'm not going to do that right now. Okay, so same thing. So here I have the curve. Again, I have this is where my beefy part is. This is where my beefy part is. Do I want to make my beefy part down here like I did on my K? And I think I will. I'm just going to kind of keep in step with the way these are alternating. So I'm going to alternate beefy down here, beefy up here, beefy down, beefy up, and then we have to figure out what to do with this, okay? So I'm going to cut that angle off there. Same thing that I did there. And if you want, you can even take tracing paper and make sure that you're doing it right. I'm just going to eyeball it for now. I've got my inner curve there. Now, one of the decisions we have to make is, do we want to angle this out here? We didn't do that. Obviously, we didn't do that here, but that could be an option as well, where it comes out like this. And we cut that off like that. Which probably means that's going to have to happen on the E somewhere down here. We'll see. This can go a little bit straighter. And then we'll do the same with the leg kicking out. Not quite the same. That's not quite the same arch there, but I'm just eyeballing these things right now. I'm softening these corners and this junction. I'm not going to soften this junction here. I'm going to leave that sharp right there. Okay. And now the E, we'll do the inner angle or the inner curve first. I'm not being super precise. If I were, I would be using like French curves. Actually, if I were, I would be sketching and scanning it into Photoshop and doing the curves in there. Let's see here. All right. So now we did this there. This kind of matches here. So let's do this treatment first. Do this like that. And then come down like this. So that matches. And then I'll just bring this out like this. So we have this happening at the bottom. All right. And then adding this little curve here and a little curve there. Okay. And then the last one, the N, it looks like it might need to move over a skosh.
Skosh.
Yeah, I think that's too far away.
A skosh.
Yeah, too far away. Let's see, is that too close? No, I think that's okay. Let me get that curve back in there the right way. And then we're going to do this. Okay. All right, I'm going to do my curve. Okay. And then my straight. So I got my curve. I mean, on my straight, I got, let's see. So now the N is kind of its own creature. And I'm just thinking this is the only place that we really can do, you know, cut off the curve this way. So the thick part is probably going to happen somewhere in this area. So that's what I'll do. I'll just kind of come like this on my angle and then come down. And we'll keep that straight, obviously. We'll put a little turn right there and a little turn here. And I need to thicken this stroke up just a wee bit.
What was the previous unit of measure? Just a skosh. Skosh.
Okay, so I think this is pretty much done. Yeah. It, you know, it needs to be cleaned up and made, you know, perfect, but it's not right now. Not perfect, but if I were going to do this as an alphabet, I would be vectorizing this and, you know. Anyway, yeah, I think from what I can see, I like the way this bounces. I like this feature and this feature matching, and this right here matching that. Okay. So what time are we at here?
We have 50 minutes.
Okay.
50.
So that's where we start to solve the problems of the letters just because of the way we're fitting them together, okay? So now, let's move on to the exercise here. So now we're going to write a few words or small phrases using your alphabets. You can use tracing paper if you want, so that you can figure out how the letters will fit together once the outer angles are added. Try bouncing and or rotating your letters if you want. You know, you can see here, whistles far and wee, these rotate. Don't worry, we're not going to do little, we're going to do small phrases and doing this kind of stuff tomorrow. Right now, I just want to do some, you can use different tools if you want. And let's take your alphabet and see if we can do stuff like this where we bounce and rotate the letters. And you can use ink and a different tool if you want. So I've got this Coit pen, which is a monoline tool. And I'm going to try this with my Sumi ink. And I'm going to use my alphabet, just like I just did, just to write some phrases and words. If you are at a loss for phrases, in the back of your handouts on page, Karen, where's the phrases page?
I got it. Stand by. My finger is stuck in between the pages. I got it. It's right in front of me. 18.
Thank you. So on page 18, we have phrases that you can use.
Julie, there's some words here that'll be helpful because they have double letters together.
All right, so people can give me words. I'm not going to pick the words. You can tell me. But this is basically what I want you to do right now, but using your alphabet. Tomorrow we're going to do some handwriting exercises, and then we're going to do stuff like this where you're using some of your own, maybe letters you've already created, or some of your own handwriting. So that's tomorrow. But that's pretty much what we're doing right now is we're going to bounce and rotate with the letters you just created. Okay? So give me some words, and I'll go ahead and use my alphabet.
There's nothing in the chat. So lollygagging has double L and double G.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Oh, you know what? There's a request for wine and cheese.
Wine and cheese?
Yeah.
All right, I have to look back and see what I came up with for my W.
Right, you were going to, in the end, let the word dictate where you went with that.
So is the W going to be something like
wine and cheese?
And then go up to here and then come down like this. That could be my W, right? I'm making it a little bit wider. Let's see, wine. And then, you know, if you want to bounce and rotate, maybe, or do upper and lower case, I might just do something like this. Maybe not make it as big. Maybe bounce a little bit more. Where's my N? Was this? And I came down like this for my N, right? That kind of, and then maybe I'll just come out like that a little bit. Wine. And then my E, oh, my E was going to be one of these. Maybe that needs to come out a little bit more because my E is doing this sort of thing. Well, that's kind of rotated. So that E kind of is rotated now. So my E, you know, I could do, let's see, I'll start on this side. Oh, I should have done one letter at a time because I'm going back to touch in. Oh, so here's what I want you to just to see too. So you could create your letters like this created things that are kind of round. So this is almost like kind of like a speedball nib. It's not, it's just a folded pen, but it acts like kind of a speedball B when it rounds things. If you want, you can use like your pointed nib, like I use my Esterbrook, and I can go in and I can add my features that way. Because I'm now worried about smearing, I'm gonna use this so I can reach it. So like on my W, you know, I've got two straight strokes on the outer edge. Come in here, let's add my, I'll add my little round parts first. And then what do I wanna do with that? Here's the curve. So I'm going to cut that off with the angle. And then I'll go up like this. So feel free to use 2 different tools if you want, just to clean up. This got real chunky. That's all right. My strokes are thicker on this one. That's all right. I don't care about that. Now, I do have a curved line here, but I think instead of putting another outer angle here, I think I might do that up here and maybe come this way and put a little bit there and then come back in this way. And leave the inside, leave this one straight up and down. And, you know, if you want, you can make this a little, you know, you can add a little serif if you want. Again, this is now where we'll get into variations, if you want to do that.
Julie, at some point, if you could discuss serifs, there was a question in the beginning of the day, right when you started working, of
Well,
that
right.
serifs were traditional, and how do you
Yeah.
more
So, I
angular,
mean, my alphabet did not have serifs. You can add them if you want. Well, when I did my Niente piece, I think that I already had started with serifs on that one. But you don't have, I mean, you don't have to do it. I could have just left it alone. That's up to you if you want. But if we're creating an alphabet, and we're doing this in an alphabet book, I wouldn't be adding the serifs. I would just do it straight, like I did it for you. But now I'm just playing with phrases and fitting things together. So also you might want to think about, you know, like the wasting on this stroke. Maybe I come up like this and make this a little bit squared off here. I'm not putting an outer angle, but I am squaring this off a little bit. This is curving in slightly, if you see that on the left, and I'm making it straight on the outside. Let's take that. Forget that. I don't know if I want that there. Oh well. Okay. And then the same thing with the eye. How do we want to handle the eye? I could just square this off here. And I could do a little bit of a, you know, this kind of thing on my eye if I want. Come in like this, and this will be my outer angle. Inner curve, outer angle. And if you wanted, you could put a dot up there just for fun. Make it a lowercase. So on mine, I did this was my curve, and I cut it off this way. And then I added a little turn here. We added a turn here.
Julie, quick question. I don't know if it's about the focus or not. It looks like the point on the interior. Okay, it is a real point.
Where?
On the interior angle on the W, and now this one you're doing on the interior of the N. Yeah.
What? Now, what do you mean?
No, in the middle, the actual point of the outside angle, you know, the lug nut.
Yeah, I'm
point.
doing it here.
Right. So it just wasn't the sharpest point, and I didn't know if that was the zoom or feature or,
Okay.
you know. Thank you.
And then the same thing I'm going to do here. Just square this off a little bit and add a little bit of a turn and come down. And I could also put, like I did here on the left side of the W, I could also add a little bit of an angle out here if I want. I didn't do that on the N for Karen. But I could, or I could just square this off like this. Maybe that's what I'll do. Square it off like I did at the top. And just do that. Keep a little bit of a turn on the inside and square this off on the outside.
And if you could zoom out, please.
Sure. And then the E.
Thank you.
And we did this on the E up here with Karen.
Julie, while you're filling that in, there's a question about turning straight letters like L, H, M, and N when you have a word where most of the letters are straight.
Yeah,
question.
bouncing really helps. Not bouncing, rotating helps. So
Thank you.
we'll do that next. Yeah. So yeah, I shouldn't have added that serif there. But you know, this is where, again, now if I were going to go into a variation of this and I wanted to add a serif, I could come up like this with my E, because this is the shape that would normally come this way. I could do something like this, the inner curve, and this could have my outer angle. And then if you wanted, you could do a teeny tiny bit coming down like this. Maybe sharpen that a little bit more, like that. You know, I did a serif coming out that way. Maybe I could do, you know, a serif going in this way or this way, coming out, go that way with it. You know, put a little dot here just to kind of make it a little more fun. Okay. All right. So then cheese, was that the other one? That's got two E's,
Yes.
or unless
Yes.
there's a different word.
No, that was the one. It was in the phrase wine and cheese. Marilyn was shaking her head vigorously just now. As
What?
if you could see. Yeah, cheese, please.
Okay. You can change the tool if you want. What if I do the Brody tool? Ooh. All right, so I got to think about my letter shapes. So my C is that. My H. Anybody remember what my H looked like? What did I do with my H? Oh, I did that kind of, yeah. So I either can do this H or this H. Remember, we weren't sure. So here's where the bouncing is going to come into play now. And I might do tilting this. H like this. And maybe the H tilts all the way like that. And I do that. Now the E, this is a lot of rotating. Do this. And then my double E, what if I do, yeah, I don't know about that. Okay, let's see. What's my S? So the S was one of these two, I think I'm going to use. Let's see if I come in like this, come down. And then come in like this. Could do something like that to get into that space. Feel like there's just too much, a little bit too much space right here. So maybe we, you know, do something like that and we extend that just a wee bit. And then another E. Oh, this is kind of funky. Okay. So now, if you want to come, you can use this tool to do it. Oh, I did that again. I should be doing this with my, you can use this tool to actually add the curves, the outer angles to them. The problem with doing it this way is now I have to, my hand is going to.
Why don't you flip it upside down and still start with the C?
Yeah, I could just do that.
Oh,
And not smear your work, Julie. Not smear your work. Okay. Oh, that doesn't really help.
oh, I thought you were going to start with the C.
Well, yeah, but then I still have to go this way.
All right.
Here, I'll just do this. All right, so that C could have, then we have the outer angle down here. let's just go up with that. And you know, now I'm cleaning this up a little bit too much, like I'm losing the rough edges with the Brody tool. So you got to think about that too. If you want to keep those rough edges, maybe don't clean it up as much or mimic them with your tool. But the rough edges will occur on the inside of this one. Oh, I like the bottom of that C. All right. You know what? I'm going to hold off on doing anything else to that right now. I'm going to make this come a little bit inside like this. And then add that and that and there. You know, and one of the things you could do is maybe go up with this, you know, do a little bump up there. Don't forget to, like, adding little curly cues as your horizontals could happen. I don't know if I would do that there, but you could do that as a crossbar for your A. Let's see. Gonna leave that inner curve on there and then just do outer angle on this. So kind of curve that stroke in just a bit more and then do that down here and down here. I am going to come back to that C. I'm not sure if I want to put more. Right now, I'm kind of liking what's happening by just doing the outer angle at the bottom. So definitely bouncing and rotating when you have duplicate letters together, that solves a lot of problems. Makes it a little bit more fun. Or you can vary the size and tuck one into the other. I could do a smaller E and tuck in the bigger E. That would also be a way to solve that problem. Let's do this S. Size difference, rotating, bouncing the letters. Those are all ways of handling things in compositions. Let's see here. I'm going to come out with this on an angle. Straighten it out. Okay. And then I feel like this, I'll add that here and add some more weight there. There we go. That's better.
So Julie, while you're doing that, Heather just wrote that the E's look like lowercase t's and that she loves that you're showing us and talking through your thinking and then changing things as needed on the fly. It encourages experimentation.
That is true that they do look like lowercase t's. So what we might have to do is something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And that, again, now is where we might have the issue of having to add what I would call the serif then. So that right there kind of solves that problem. And then, you know, of course, then I have the option of coming up like this and doing one here. You could also do this on the S.
I'm laughing because someone just wrote in the chat, now they look like E's.
E's.
The rest of
Um,
Heather's comment was it encourages experimentation.
Yeah.
which is-
And
it's
that's
just-
what this is. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, I'm teaching you how I did my alphabet, but I'm also teaching you how to do variations of it. That's what this is all about. So, yeah. So see how that's starting to change of the look of the letters quite a bit. So maybe this is a hand that needs a serif, you know. And this is what we kind of, now, I don't know if I want to come up with this because it's going to look too much like a G, but I might put the serif right here, going down on that C. And then if I want, I could extend it just a tick. I'm not going to go too far up with that. Otherwise, it's going to look like the G. Oops. All right, go with ink
Oh, it looks
again.
like a little heart, that droplet.
Yeah. So now in this case, these are very cleaned up. I would probably clean up this edge, which means using the Brody pen really didn't matter at all. Oops, that got a little blobby there, so I'll bring that down. So yeah, oh, I like that now. That's looking pretty good. Okay. Still, this space right in here seems a little bit too much, but
But you also have the word and coming. You could do an ampersand that came in there.
oh, right. Oh, well, was I supposed to put wine and cheese together?
Yeah.
Because I did these two different ways. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, because they don't really work.
Okay, we're
together.
good.
I'm sorry. All right, so, okay, so we solved some of those problems for that. You know, if you want to try something a little bit more free form, using the, like, if you have one of those fine line applicators that I like, you can try doing that now.
Yeah, why don't you show us the fine line applicator?
All right, so give me a letter, or give me a word, I mean, give me some words.
If the first person that puts a word in the chat gets it, go. Let's go, people.
Anybody have a word they want to see?
It's coming. I'm sure someone's typing.
All right,
Stand by while you get your fine line applicator and your paper.
it's ready.
Oh,
I
it's
just
ready.
have my letters in front of me.
I can't believe no one's typing a word. Oh, here we go. We got a word. Creativity. Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Creativity, oh boy. Okay, let me try to remember my R. Oh, it's this, right? Don't forget this, if I'm going slow with this tool, it's gonna blob. So it's probably, okay, where's my A? Creativity. Where is my T? Oh, my T did this.
If you could bring your paper down a little bit. Thank you.
Creativity. My V did this. Well, or something like that. Creativity. And then my T, I'm going to turn my T this way, I think, and do that. And then my Y was, what did I do with my Y? Oh, this. Right? Something like that. Okay. So this was done, I didn't do, usually I go a lot faster with my fine line applicator. Let me bring this up just a tick. So what you can do now is, I don't usually clean up with the fine line, but you can try it if you want. You can take, and I usually just grab this and then start going in and putting in, let's say we'll put in our little serif and bring that down. So I just pull down that pool of ink there. I'm gonna leave this kind of blobby looking, just for fun. I'm gonna add the, yeah, I'm gonna soften my outer, oh my goodness. Ugh. Inner curve. I'm gonna soften my outer angles just a little bit. Since this is kind of a blobby hand or look to it. And let me leave that little area alone for just a second. Inner curve, let's see, I got a little too close on this one. All right, well, then we're gonna do this. We're gonna touch that one there. And maybe I'll even do that with this one. I'm gonna touch these since I got a little too close. And then I'm gonna come down here. Add in my angle. And this is gonna go out like this. That alone up there, come out a little bit like this. I'm just kind of pulling and dragging this ink that's already there. Not really dipping with this one right now. So I'm kind of acting or reacting to the blobs that I created with that tool. Yeah, reacting. Let's see here. I'm also getting ink all over my paper. Now you can be really, really, you know, really go in and try to clean these up if you want. Or leave them super blobby, it's up to you.
Julie, apropos getting ink all over the paper, before we close today, you should show the Rorschach test from this morning.
Oh yeah, I did a Rorschach, not on purpose, but.
Right, because of ink blobs.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous, by the way.
Let's see here. I think I want to do it up here, my outer angle. Let's do it up here.
So Julie, your alphabet happens to have these points on your curves. You know, for your
Well,
outside
yes,
curves.
right. It
But
does
they-
now. They were curved, the inner curve, but now the
Right.
outer gives them the angle.
Right,
Yeah,
but they could
points.
also have that lug nut instead of a point.
Yeah,
Like-
well, it
like
depends
this
on how you.
particular-
It
this
depends on
particular-
how you cut off your curves.
Exactly, like this particular alphabet has the point.
Yeah, it's working out that way
Right.
for sure. See, like I like what's happening there. I could make that even pointier up there. I'm kind of responding right now. I'm responding to these blobs. Oh boy, that got too blobby there. And inner curve, and then I would put probably something like this down here. And then this is where you might want to think about either dropping a serif right there, which looks like it might be a good place for one. You know, and I'm going to come in a little bit with it. And then this could go out like this, and then the angle be right there, the outer angle. And now because that V is coming up into this region, I might want to not drop that down too far. Let's just leave that alone for just a minute. And then I'm going to do a little junction right here, the curve. And then my eye, yeah, that should be moved over a little bit. Oh well, to the left. So what I'll do, I think, is just give myself some weight on this side. No, 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 no. I don't want to make that fat. I want that to be a skinny eye. I think I just messed it up.
Leave it and come back.
Yeah, I don't want that there. So this actually should be shoved over just a bit, but okay.
It's a skosh.
Yeah, but compare, from a letter spacing that
Yes.
needs to be moved over to the left just a bit. I'm going to leave this alone. I will correct it in Photoshop, and you will have the correct version when you get the final. And then my V, this is where I think I would put the point down here, even though this is all blobby right now. I'm going to put the point down here. I'll clean that up later too. And even come in like a little bit like this with that stroke. And then do the same on this one. I could also add a little bit right in here, but because this is already too close to this one, I'm not going to do that. That's going to make it look even closer. Let's do this.
Julie, could you put a dot over that eye?
Sure. Oops, lobbed. That fell out. I
Yeah,
could.
I just answered in the chat that you would address the dots on the eyes when you were done with the word.
Yeah, I'm totally messing up right now. These really should be done letter at a time, or at least wait until they're dry. Which you can do. You don't have to pull the blobs out like I'm doing. You could just add ink. That would probably be the better option for this, as opposed to what I'm doing right now, making a complete mess here.
Someone just chatted, creativity should be messy.
Yeah, well, it usually is when I'm doing something. So that T, again, I would come up maybe a little bit more with this and come down with this. I'm not going to add that serif. This ends too close to that, so I don't want to do that there. This is the inner curve. I could add my bold area there. And if I want, I could put a little bit on the outside here. The only place I really did that is that R right there. So I could add a little bit of a, I didn't do it on my V. I could come down like this and then cut back down. I could also do a little bit on that side of the A too, where I could come up like this. And come in like that. So those are the kinds of things I need to think about. But I do kind of like what's happening with it with the outer angle happening like at the bottoms, at the top. Yeah, there's a lot of things in here to think about. This is just really a mess. But anyway, if you decide to do like something with the fine line applicator, I would just say wait for it to dry instead of doing what I just did in pulling out the ink when it's wet, just because you're getting like this happening and it's all over your paper. But anyway, yeah, just add ink to it. But what's really fun about the fine line applicator is the blobs that it creates and then what you have to do with those blobs in order to get those outer angles. I like that. All right.
We're
Okay.
at 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so this winds up being, I think, my best tool for this. Well, that and the Brody, because it keeps it kind of a monoline, and then I can draw them slower. Some of the letters happen faster, but most of these are drawn letters. They're not like my normal fast letters. I have to think about them. So you might want to think about that when you're using the fine line applicator, because that tends to come out really fast. Unless it's unless you're really comfortable with your letters and you can make them, you're really comfortable with the alphabet that you created and you remember it, which I didn't, but now I remember Kieran. I could go a lot faster with it. And then I don't have as much problem with the blobs Here's my N. As long as I can remember the letters, I can go a lot faster with it, you know. Because I didn't remember my hand very well, then I don't go very fast with the fine line applicator. So this is one of the tools that you want to be really confident about the letters you're creating before you use it. I guess that's the way to say it. All right,
That was so close.
there we go. Yeah, so obviously, you know, I got a lot looser with my letters on this one than I did when I was drawing them with the pencil. But now what I would do is I'll wait for this to dry, and then maybe like tomorrow we can go in and fill that in, you know. So we'll do that tomorrow. I don't want to mess that up again. All right. So for tomorrow, and I will continue here, but these are the kinds of things that maybe writing out a little phrase like this with your alphabet and going slow. So maybe don't use the fine line applicator. Use a tool that you can go slowly with.
Julie's
And then
looking at the bottom of page 8 and page 11.
Yeah, the bottom of page 8. And then tomorrow, what we're going to do is some of these little exercises on number 6. And we'll write spiky and condensed, rounded letters, alternating lowercase caps, and yeah, caps and lowercase, using exaggerated characteristics like big flourishes and stuff. Okay, and also doing some of them with other tools if you haven't tried other tools. You know, oh, and we're going to work on our good papers tomorrow. And we'll, in the morning, or in the first part of the class, maybe you'll do some white on black, and we'll let it dry. If you have white in a fine line applicator and you want to try that, or you can use Dr. Martin's bleed proof white with any other tool like a Coit pen or your Brody pen if you want to try that, or your fine point, you know, like a fine point nib like I'm using. So we'll do some of that. Set those aside to dry so that we can come back and add color in later. I also want to work on this kind of thing where we work with a word within a rectangle so that the letters are touching each other. And if you'll see this on page 12, this is the kind of thing where I actually designed a pin for the CCC as a fundraiser, and I used the letters from that to create this piece where I added the outside angle. And I'll show you the sketches for that tomorrow. But doing stuff like this, you're going to need your tracing paper, and then making one word that we do within a rectangle, and then looking at those negative spaces that are created with the outer angles. You know, so touching the letters, putting in the outer angles, keeping the inner curve. So we're going to try a little exercise like that. Also, what I wanted you to see was on pages 13 and 14, I found some historical examples that don't quite do this exactly. Now, the Visigoth, if you look that up and Google it, you'll see Visigoth, Vizigoth does this kind of inner curve, outer angle thing. Which funny, I've never even seen it before. I've heard of Visigoths, but not as a hand, as a people group. But look at this here. This is a Rudolf Koch, I don't know how to say his last name, in a Gothic style, which is kind of cool. So let these kind of influence you too. And then some of these letters here, like what if you were to do outer angle with something like this where you did inner curve and outer angle. These are really fun, by the way. And the same thing with this. You could use a broad edge tool where you get that curve, but then later go in with a pointed tool and add some outer angles to it. And you can kind of see that happening here. This is kind of fun right here. These initial caps do it. This is kind of cool, like where it comes out with the point. And then drawing stuff like this with a broad edge tool, but you know, these are kind of like Gothic, well, more like black letter really. But adding the points on the outside would be kind of cool. And then, or doing something like this, you know, getting your curves. These have a lot of curves going on, but what happens if you add some outer angles to them? So let these be your inspiration for tomorrow when we do either things like this or little compositions like this. And then we're also going to try these words where we play spiking, condensed, rounded, alternating lowercase and caps throughout. Okay. Where are we at? Oh, we got 10 more
10
minutes. So just for a little demonstration before we go, if I were going to do, say, more rounded letters, what's a good word? I'll do that, wine and cheese. And then tomorrow I'm going to add, what I'm going to do right now is going to show you my own handwriting style. And that's what you're going to be working with tomorrow, your own handwriting style. You're also going to be coming back to your letters if you want. But if I were going to do this wine and cheese, so in a kind of round style, I might do something like and bounce. Okay. And
Can you pull your paper down, please? Thank you.
okay, could be something like that. And then tomorrow, once this is dry, I'll go in and I'll add my outer angles to that. And that's what I did with this. This was just a word that I had doodled, the word money. And then I came back and I did this to it.
That's
Okay,
on page 11.
page 11. This was also a word I did. I took Jürgen Verkemp's, what were those called?
Pencil.
The what? The pencil letters that he did just
Yeah.
recently. I did that in his class, and then I came back and I added this in pencil. This was done, these were done with this tool a long time ago, and I went in and added these later with some pointed nib. Same thing here. This was done with this tool, the Coit pen, and I added that. So, and these were drawn in Jürgen's class as well, and then I added, this was pencil, and then I added that in marker. So those are the kinds of things we're going to do tomorrow. Wait for this to dry, and we'll come back and we'll do stuff. And you can even do some of these tonight if you want. Just do some little phrases, let them dry, and then tomorrow we'll add some outer angles to them. All right. I can't put these down because they're wet. And if you want, you can even do like little stacked, you know, like arise and breathe. I might do something like this. Rise. Whoops, got a little blobby there. Oh,
As
there
you
we go.
read that other one fell.
I know, this is what always happens to me. If you want, you can put a loop in there. Don't get as messy as I'm getting. I'll redo that. But, you know, little phrases like this where we just write like this, like we normally would write, or getting bouncy and playful. Okay. And then just see what happens when we add some angles to them on the outside. So these are my real curvy letters, and then what happens when I add some outer angles to them. Also, if you want, you can work with your pointed nibs. If you're a pointed pen people, maybe doing some of your pointed pen lettering. This is my slower. I don't like doing a lot of loopy things, but you could put a loop on that if you want. Ah, that's a really bad H. You know, you could do something like that, or do it, you know, faster. This would be more like what I would do. Okay. And then later come back in and add some outer angles to that. So you can do this as a very delicate thing where you do a lot of smaller writing with a nib, or come in with a very pointed nib, or come in and do something bolder. Okay. All right. So if you wanted to do some homework, that's what you can do. And then we're going to do some more. We're going to do more of this, but tomorrow we're going to add the outer angles, and then we're going to get some color. We're going to do some color things. Okay. We'll write with some walnut ink tomorrow and drop in the colors. We'll do that word that's in the rectangle that I showed you on number 5. And then we're also going to paint in some letters. So we are going to do, and if you want, we can do my letters like this is in a word, or you can do your own letters that you created. But we're going to get to some painted letters like this. We're going to do the one word in the thing, and we're going to do some little compositions. Okay? All right, any questions?
We are caught up in the chat. Everyone is welcome to unmute themselves. If there's any word that someone would like to see, feel free to put that in the chat.
Well, or we can just, could you show me the what?
The M and W from yesterday's lesson. If you could please put that up.
Okay. From the,
Yesterday you did the monoline pencil caps, adding the inside curves.
I just wanted to know if she put the, if she went below the lines and above the line on that, the pointy parts of the letter.
yeah, so let me just pull those out here. So, see, like this looks like it needs to be wider. That didn't get wide enough.
But when you added the extra weight for the M, the second leg of the M, did it go above the line or
No,
below
I
the
split
line?
it. I split that. So here's my skeletal line, and I added weight on both sides on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
The same for the W.
Yeah, I think so. But that W looks too narrow to me. So visually, I think the W needed to have more, you know, like happening out here, I think. Putting that weight on the outside instead of splitting it. Because then I will get this space right here is going to mimic this space on that M. So I needed to add the weight on the outside on this one, I think.
And then when you get to the point, does that go below the?
Yeah, it's going to come out a little bit. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. And then this one would be parallel. So the weight would be here. Yeah. Instead of coming, yeah, so here I'm bringing it down. Here it looks like I brought it up into the inside. I should have brought it to the to the underside here, so that I can keep this space in here. So that does drop this down a bit then. Yeah, that drops it down a little bit. That's a much better W than that one, I think. Oops, sorry. Yeah. Adding the weight to the outside makes more sense because then I can keep this area wider.
Okay, so then Julie, so then I'm going to go back to the very first question in the chat this morning when, before we even started. And sorry, that was the alarm on my phone. So then the question was, when you do the serifs, they seem traditional. should the outer be more angular than the inner?
Oh, well, they don't have to be traditional. You can make them traditional, but, well, like my piece, where's my piece here? Well, they kind of always seem to work out that way. Like I've got these here where, you know, we've got inner curve, outer angle, which is traditional. Inner curve, that's very traditional. They seem to kind of work out that way most of the time. Here, that's a very traditional one there. But then on the Niente piece, well, they kind of are traditional here too. Except that, you know, if you do something like this, and you know, you can beef these up, I think they still look very traditional. So I think it's just the nature of the serif that it's going to look that way with this hand, is that you're always going to have this inner curve, outer angle. So they're always going to look very traditional. That seems to be what's happening. You know, unless you do stuff like, well, you know, like this, where you shave off a little bit and you know, do a little curly Q and you do something like that, I would consider that a serif. Or in here, we didn't do anything on this side. I just kind of brought this up like this little tail, and brought this out. That's not a traditional serif. But these definitely, I would call those traditional serifs. So I think it's the nature of the beast. I think it's just the way it has to be. But if you can come up with a different way, please show us. Because this is just my thinking. But there are so many options that can happen with this hand, and people do come up with all kinds of crazy things with this hand. So
Wait, Wild Woman, can you put Niente back for a second?
mm-hmm.
Because there was previously a question in the chat about so that your angles are not necessarily pointed, they're not necessarily sharp, and I answered correct. She talked about softening.
Yeah, this one I did definitely soften them when I was painting. I think that happened in the watercolor process, because this piece was done not much bigger than what you see here. This is 8 by 10. This is 8 by 10. The original is just slightly larger than that. This is 10 inches. This is 8 inches. So this here is about, I don't know, 7 or so by 6. So the original is not much bigger than that. So when I was painting it, they definitely got softened. And I just kind of kept that look throughout, you know. But they don't have to be soft. You can actually go in and paint. Yes, it is, by the way, it is available for purchase.
I was going to wait for you to finish describing and then ask you. And Julie, how would someone go about purchasing such an item from you?
Well, you can just email me. I do have these on my Etsy site. We could go through Etsy, but you can, because you're in my class, just email me. I also, when I sell them through my workshops, I think they're $25 on my Etsy. I sell them for $20 if you're in a workshop. So if we were in person, I would be bringing these with me. So you would get my workshop price is $20, and whatever it costs me to ship it. So instead of going through Etsy to order it, just email me if you want. You can see what I have available on my Etsy page. But yeah, I do. I think I have some left of these. Okay, so.
Julie?
Yeah.
Question, getting back to this morning. There was some indecision or uncertainty, I should say, about the F. So
Yeah.
I was wondering if we can come up with something like this.
Let's see. Go out a little bit, Mary. I can't really tell. Let's see.
Here, let me
Well,
undo that.
here's the issue with now here's what we have to think about. We had that 1/6 region that was part of my, you know, I have this rule here, this 1/6 rule. Here, let me zoom in.
Right, I was sort of like forgetting about the 1/6 rule.
Right, which, you know, again,
a little diversity.
yeah, I mean, we could treat this shape. This is the shape that we have to work with, remember? This was the A. So that's our
right.
shape.
Yeah,
So,
I
you know, here's another thing. Could it come No, it wouldn't read as an F. Could it read down here? Could it read down here? Like that?
Can you-
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I made the arm of the F the same shape as the leg of the A.
You mean this? Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but this one right here isn't. That one is the one I have I'm having trouble with because it seems
Right.
like it doesn't fit within this rule here. Now it could happen down here, is what I'm saying, except not on this angle. It would have to go out this way. Could this read as an F if we did this? Am I still zoomed in too far?
A little bit.
Could it read as an F right there if we brought that down?
There's another question, Julie. What if you flipped it over so the bottom angle is on the top?
Yeah. Well, let's just figure that this is where I'm having a little bit of trouble because this feature is not in anywhere else. Barry, do you agree?
Well, I don't know why it has to be. It's a funky looking alphabet, and I
Yeah.
think within the context of the words, the
Can you move your
context,
paper left, Julie?
the context will automatically cause you to read it as an F.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that could be. So you're, yeah, putting it right there. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I guess if we did it within the context of a word, we could, see if that works.
Mhm.
I do think that we could get away with dropping it down here, the crossbar down here, because it could happen in the bottom 1/6.
Sure.
And also, if we added that serif up there, that helps that as well.
And likewise, you could drop the crossbar of the E to where
That's
you have
true.
it,
I could do this too,
And
like
sometimes-
this.
Neuland variation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I could, if I wanted to, I could do that as well.
Right, and
Yeah.
that was Gloria had said, what if you flipped it over so the bottom angle is on the top? Yeah.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
right here, I'm not
it's
sure about
right
going
there.
up on that diagonal. That's the one thing I'm not. But again, you are welcome to go ahead and do this as an alphabet.
But it
Word.
still conforms to the overall shapes.
Yeah, it does. Well, here's the thing that I'm always cognizant of in this particular alphabet is this negative space
Uh-huh.
is super important to me. Okay.
Uh,
So
Mhm.
this space happens fine. I don't mind that in there. This doesn't for me
right. Yeah. I
because it
guess
chops up that space,
Mhm.
in the middle. So then I see this negative space and I see this negative space. It becomes two to me. Whereas if it drops down in here, that doesn't bother me. I see this.
Mm-hmm.
I still see this space. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah. So that, I'd have to think about that one. But I do like having the crossbars down at the bottom on this one too.
Yeah.
I like that. Which I also said that could be a variation on the A.
Mm-hmm.
So that's if we were creating a full
Lowering the
alphabet.
crossbar like that is also very reminiscent of German expressionism of the early 20s.
Like this, you mean down here?
Yeah, they did that a lot.
Okay. Yeah, so, obviously this is an alphabet that we're just kind of playing with, but that's kind of how I got to, those are the rules on how I got to this alphabet.
Julie,
So-
can you zoom out, please? Thank you.
Even though I'm teaching the inside curve as a concept, not necessarily specifically zeroing in on this particular alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
So more as a concept on what you can do with letter forms. So that's why I like to do this alphabet this exercise where you create your own alphabet so that you can take this inside curve outer angle and see how it applies to other things. But if you wanted to do this alphabet, you can basically see these are just pretty much I'm using Roman letters, very, I don't know, what would be the stylized Romans, obviously, and cheating and you going into the lowercase and, doing that sort of thing. So, okay.
That's not cheating, that's composing.
Yeah, well, I wasn't thinking about my Roman proportions when I was doing this.
Doesn't matter as long as it looks good.
Yeah, right. Right. Oh,
So Julie, I'm
Right.
going to welcome you to go back to your lovely mug, and everyone is free to go to the gallery.
okie dokie. I'm going to switch over.
Thank you.
All right. So everybody knows what's going to happen tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
There's some thumbs up, there's some clapping, there's
Well,
some
the thumbs up was to my son who just wrote me a note.
Hi,
He
Josiah.
was trying to get my attention. Okay. Yeah. So we're good?
Yep.
We're golden.
Any other questions or concerns? All
Same
right.
time, same place tomorrow.
Same
Yay.
time, same Bat channel.
Same bad channel.
Anybody a Batman fan from this whatever year it was? I don't know. I was
From our
little.
childhood, as we sit here with Romper Room, I see Barry and Heather. I see Gloria.
All right, we've already lost quite a few people.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, Julie, you can stop recording.
Oh,
Oops.